Welcome back to True Cyber Crimes. I'm Chris, and I'm currently looking at my laptop with a deep sense of suspicion.
Yeah, and I'm Nick. I've spent the last 20 minutes, well, really the last few years, not trusting my toaster or any smart appliances, but it's a brave new world, Chris.
And you shouldn't trust any of them, but it really is a brave new world. So today's episode is a cautionary tale from the modern age. It's not about a guy pulling a plug in a basement like our British Airways disaster. It's about a copy paste heard around the world.
Yeah, this is the story of how three separate employees at one of the biggest tech giants on earth, Samsung, you may have heard of them, accidentally leaked the company's most guarded trade secrets to a chatbot.
And not just any chatbot, specifically ChatGPT. The AI that's supposed to help you write poems about cats ended up holding the blueprints for top secret semiconductor technology.
Yeah, it's a little bit, trying to get a librarian to help you find a book, and instead accidentally give the librarian the combination to your home safe and maybe even your Netflix password.
Ooh,
I don't,
not my Netflix password, man. That's
yeah,
gold. That's
I don't know
gold.
why I'd be giving that stuff to a librarian in the first place, or talking to a librarian, or
Or
even
being
in
a
the library
library,
these
but
days. But
so let's put this all together. So it's early 2023. ChatGPT has just exploded onto the scene. Everybody's using it. Students are using it to write essays. Chefs are using it for recipes. And engineers are using it to work a little less.
Well, and you can't really blame them, right? I mean, if you're a coder, something I've done at some point in my professional career, and you've got tens of thousands of lines of code, probably lots of bugs to sniff out, and C++. There's a magic box that says, "Hey, I can fix that for you in a few seconds." Trust me, you're gonna go use the magic box.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's a productivity drug. But here's the thing: Samsung, like many companies at the time, allowed its employees to use ChatGPT to help with their work. I mean, why wouldn't they? They thought it was a great way to boost efficiency.
Yeah, and to use, I don't know what generation FOMO comes from, but I'm hip enough that I know it means fear of missing out.
You are
Um,
hip.
uh, yeah, they didn't want to be the old company that was banning cool new tech, and frankly, that's the double-edged sword, right? How do you innovate and jump on the new things, but do it in a safe and secure way? And it's more than $1 million question for sure. But
Yeah.
in this case, 2023, Samsung wanted to be that fast company, and that sometimes fast comes with an oops, a side of oops.
Yeah. And that oops started in the semiconductor division. This is the crown jewel of Samsung. We're talking about the secret sauce for how chips are made. And as we know, chips are pretty darn important in this world. This is stuff companies spend billions on with a B, that's billions to develop and protect.
Yeah, so in the span of just 20 days, not even 3 weeks, three different employees decided that the best way to handle this multi-billion dollar IP was to hit Control C and Control V.
So let's break down this triple threat of errors.
Yeah, so error number one is the debugger. An engineer was working on some top secret source code for the semiconductor database. They ran into an error, and instead of spending hours fixing it, as we've done for years and years and years, he just copied that entire chunk of sensitive code, pasted it in ChatGPT, and asked, "Hey, what's wrong with this?"
Yeah. And chat, being that helpful ghost said, here's your fix. But what the engineers forgot is that ChatGPT isn't a private tutor. It's a giant sponge.
Yeah, yeah. OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, are very clear about this in your terms, but who
Who
reads
reads the
the
terms and
UI, right?
conditions?
We
Come
all just
on, man.
scroll and accept, and get on to the fun part. But they do say in those terms, anything you tell us, we use to train our future models.
Code for Samsung's next generation was now a part of AI's brain. If someone else asked the AI later, How does Samsung make the chips? The AI might literally quote the leaked code right back to them.
Problematic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's error number one. Error number two, the optimizer, another employee, took a separate set of code. So now we've already got one piece of super secret, intellectual property code. Now we've got a new set of code. This one related to the hardware equipment itself. And they asked ChatGPT, "Hey, optimize this for me."
Isn't that the equivalent of taking like a super secret family recipe to a rival chef and saying, "Can you make this taste better?" Sure, the chef will help you out, right? But who knows where he's going to use that 3 times and the amount of butter everyone else does.
And finally, the cherry on top. Number three is the secretary. This wasn't even an engineer. An employee took the recording of an internal corporate meeting, which something we do multiple times a day now, and had it transcribed. Again, something we're pretty used to in 2026. They took that transcription and pasted that into ChatGPT to create minutes and a summary. Something at the time everybody was wowed by. Like, this is
Yeah.
amazing. You're a genius, Chris. Good job doing that. Great
This
notes.
is great. Yeah, and you can only imagine what was in those notes. Something that said, "Hey, this is our plan to beat out Apple," and it goes as follows. And then also, "Hey, did somebody leave shrimp in the fridge? It smells horrible." But who knows what was in there?
Right. Yeah. The AI, what are they called? Hallucinations, right? And it
Yeah.
throws in all kinds of weird stuff. So can we talk about why people think AI is a private tool? I think there's a psychological trick where, because it's a chat interface, we feel like we're talking to a friend, and we're in a cone of silence.
The cone of silence. So totally, it's the confessional effect. You're in a room, it's late, the screen's glowing, and you feel safe. You wouldn't post your secret code on Facebook or a public forum, but because the AI responds politely, you trust it and post it there.
Yeah, it's a black hole. I mean, information goes in. It's basically impossible to get it back out, right? Like, that genie is out of the bottle. You can't, like, stuff it back in, really. You can't call OpenAI and say, "Hey, go into your AI brain of ChatGPT and just delete this little part." Um, I one of the things I think people miss about AI, and why it's important to think about it securely, is it's operating on all this information that's kind of ever been. Um, how do we think that gets fed?
Yeah, from
From
us.
us. We're actively feeding it. So yeah.
Yeah. It's like trying to take the salt out of the soup after it's already been cooked. It's baked in. You can't. This happens in other places too. There was a big Amazon leak. I mean, it's not just one company. It's everyone.
Yeah. Amazon had to warn their own employees because they started seeing ChatGPT responses that looked suspiciously like internal Amazon data. It's the echo chamber of the internet.
Yeah, it's both
Or
fascinating.
yeah.
It's both fascinating and terrifying. We're essentially building a global mind by feeding it all of our secrets, one copy and paste at a time.
Yeah. So Samsung finds out. How'd they find out? Well, probably by looking at their network logs and seeing massive amounts of proprietary data flying toward OpenAI, IP addresses, servers, what have you.
The reaction was swift. Immediately restrictions the length of ChatGPT prompts to 125 bytes, which is basically a paragraph. They put a digital muzzle on the AI.
But at that point, the cow's out of the barn, right? They had to notify their shareholders. Stock took a hit, and really the most important is their competitors were suddenly very, very interested in using ChatGPT, probably for capture, not providing, not
Their secrets.
providing. Yeah.
Yeah, just imagine being an engineer at a rival company. You're messing around with AI, and suddenly it spits out a line of code that looks exactly like Samsung proprietary algorithms. It's like finding a winning lottery ticket on the sidewalk.
So, Samsung eventually banned ChatGPT entirely on company devices till they could own their own internal private AI, which, yeah.
Yeah, which is what every major company is doing now. Apple banned it. Wall Street banks banned it. They realized that free usually means you are the product, and so are your secrets.
Yeah. Yeah. And it brings up a point about shadow IT, and shadow IT has been a thing for forever. I've certainly been guilty of it, and in my more tinkering days, and before I got into cybersecurity. And it's not just about AI; it's just employees using tools company doesn't approve or have a way to govern. We oftentimes, I think shadow IT happens because people are either curious or just trying to get their work done, and the
Yeah,
corporate tools or lack thereof prevent that, right? And it's like, man, just let me work smarter, not harder. And they inadvertently create situations like this where those guardrails are in place for a reason. So
yeah, it's about speed and efficiency. If the company's internal debuggers take 2 hours and ChatGPT takes 2 seconds, the employee is going to use ChatGPT. I mean, and they did. They aren't trying to be spies. They're just trying to get home in time for dinner.
yeah. On one hand, I think it's a bit of a management failure. If you don't provide your team with cutting edge tools that they need to do their jobs, they're going to find those tools, out in the wild. And we know the wild is full of predators. But on the other hand, it may be less about providing the tools and more about being careful in the way they curate their and govern the tools that they do have access to, right? Because
Mhm.
you need to innovate, and you need to get in front of these things. When a shiny new thing comes out, like, somebody in the organization should be looking at that and going, this is cool. Can it hurt us? Can it help
How,
us? How do we use it?
how do we put guardrails on it? And you have to think like the enemy or the adversary. It reminds me of the story about the military guys who are using Fitbit trackers.
Yeah, the Strava thing, right? So soldiers were wearing Fitbits and running laps around what were secret bases in the middle of the desert, because everyone's data on those platforms is usually public. You could go on a map and see exact layout of these secret bases, because a heat map of sorts of where people were jogging. Like, wonder what that's all about. This little puzzle shaped spot in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. It's the same blunder. You think you're just tracking your heart rate or fixing your code, but you're actually broadcasting your location or your secrets to the entire world.
Yeah, it's I won't get into CUI and how that controlled unclassified information, but that's a whole other topic for another day. But what's the takeaway here for the rest of us? I guess I mean, I'm not planning on designing any microchips.
Well, lesson one, assume everything you type into AI is public. Treat it like a giant billboard in Times Square. If you want your boss, your mom, or your competitor to see it, don't paste it.
Lesson two: read the fine print. This one is
That's a
going to
tough
go in
one.
one ear and out the other. But an AI has a private mode that's available now, but you have to toggle it on, and most people don't.
Yeah. And then lesson three, the shortcut, it's often a trap. Saving 10 minutes of debugging costs Samsung millions in potential IP losses.
And finally, for the managers and leaders out there, don't ignore the tech. Don't be afraid of the tech. If your employees are using AI, help them use it safely. Figure out how to make a walled garden. Put governance around it instead of letting them just play, freely in a digital jungle.
Guardrails for sure. So that's our show for today. Samsung is still recovering and AI is still learning.
Yeah. And remember, the next time you ask an AI to write an email for you, make sure you didn't accidentally include your social security number
Yeah.
in the prompt.
Oh,
I don't think I would, but
or the blueprints for the Death Star, since we're close
Yeah.
to May the 4th be with you. So
Yes. Yeah. Be careful of that. Join us next time on True Cyber Crimes, where we'll look at the time a high school student accidentally shut down the entire Department of Education because they want to skip a math test.
and spoiler alert, he did skip the test, but he didn't skip the jail time.
Well, he had time to study for that math test, I guess.
Yeah.
Stay safe out there and watch your Control V.
Seriously, don't do it. Thanks, Nick.
See you, Chris.
We'll see you next time.